All right, sawadee krap.
What cup?
As we're in Thailand, we are saying sawadee krap.
Cup.
Welcome to the first HME Adam Mizner podcast. One of hopefully maybe many in the future. Who knows? We'll see how this one goes. Now, you're known as the Tai Chi master on YouTube, but of course, there's a lot more to you than meets the YouTube. And I think we've been trying to do this sort of long interview, get into your background, your history, really what you're all about, not just Tai Chi. And I think a lot of people have been waiting for this moment for a long time.
I've been getting nagged many a time by students to reveal more about my life, but I'm usually not that way inclined. But seeing as we've been friends for years, we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning. So you were about 16 when you started external kung fu martial arts.
That's correct. Yep.
Southern Tonglong.
Yep.
But alongside that, you also started meditating.
That's right. First day of Kung Fu was first day of meditation and Tai Chi, actually.
Was your teacher that said, hey, meditate or do Tai Chi or...
My Kung Fu teacher said do Tai Chi, and I was attracted to the meditation.
Why?
A documentary about Shaolin monks. That was it, yeah.
All right. And then afterwards, you broke away from the external kung fu and then went into Tai Chi and meditation. Why?
I was training Kung Fu with a dear friend of mine. We were sparring. And while we were sparring, I felt very aggressive towards him. I really wanted to hurt him. And it just dawned on me that, wow, I really want to hurt this guy who I love. And that's unskillful mental state. It's unpleasant. I didn't want it. So I quit Kung Fu that day. And I pursued Tai Chi more so. And I was already heavy into meditation at that time. Basically, I just felt like the more I trained that way, always hitting, getting hit, getting hit, it just built up agitation and kind of static between me and other people, which I thought was not worth it.
Was there a certain meditation that you were doing at the time? Was it specific? Were you just trying to find which one is best?
Over the years, I've been initiated into numerous methods from different schools of Buddhism, Taoism, and the Western traditions, the Hermetic traditions. So, yeah, different periods, different practices.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that because one thing I know about you that was very interesting that I just recently found out on the reason why you kept the Tai Chi aspect quite strong versus the desires of the meditation.
Right. Well, the spiritual work, the meditation path has always been my priority. And it became very clear to me pretty early on that your desire is a block, especially in spiritual work where you want to minimize and eradicate desires. But then your desire for achievement can block your achievement in the exact thing that you're trying to achieve in. So I knew what I wanted to achieve with practice. And so much of the meditation practice is rooted in letting go. And I thought, okay, I know what I want to do, but I become obsessed. And, you know, it becomes an overwhelming sort of experience just thinking about the practice and training all the time. I knew this was a problem. My desire to practice, even though I was practicing a lot, the desire for achievement would potentially block the achievement. So I thought I'd trick Mara. I knew Mara was coming for me. So I started to gear my desires, that part of my nature that is more clinging onto goals and stuff like that, towards the Tai Chi so that I could just silently progress with the meditation work in the background, which didn't mean that I practice any less. It just meant that part of my personality, which I knew I couldn't eradicate at the time, was pointed towards Tai Chi Chuan instead, so that all of the blocks that I would cause for myself based on desire and Mara would happen in Tai Chi Chuan rather than with the path itself.
That's so interesting. I've never heard that sort of take before, and that's quite smart, actually. I didn't. Yeah.
I think it worked okay. Time will tell.
You are now finally coming out also with a meditation course.
Yeah, many of my students have been nagging me once
Me
again.
included.
Yeah, they know that I practice meditation a lot, and over the years I've always said meditation is my secret weapon. When they ask me about secret methods for Tai Chi Chuan or whatever, it's always the skills gained from sitting. And I've always taught my disciples the seated practice. But yeah, I thought I'd make a way to share it to a broader audience, because unfortunately meditation is just as screwed up as Tai Chi is. In the world market, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, same old problems.
I guess the more popular it becomes, the less the authenticity is.
You just do mindfulness, just do awareness. I mean, it's okay. You don't really need to practice. Just wash the dishes and you'll be okay. You'll become enlightened. Yeah.
Well, that's a big point right there, is your definition of meditation. Mindfulness and vipassana and all these practices aren't actually meditation, you say?
That's right. So there are different practices. There's, Dao Yin, Qigong, Neigong, what people call standing meditation, mindfulness practice. And people say, oh, it's all meditation. Well, if it's all meditation, then that's the same as nothing is meditation. If everything is something, that's the same as nothing, because there's no differential. Meditation proper is entering absorption, the jhanas, samadhi. This is meditation proper, and it's found in all of the great traditions. We could talk about the jhanas in Theravada, samadhi in the yogic traditions, Shen Ming in the Taoist traditions, and entering suspended animation, probably some kind of merging with God in the Christian traditions. This is when your consciousness and the energy of the mind merge, achieve union, meditation proper. Everything leading up to that I call mental development. So just because you're sitting with your legs crossed doesn't mean you're doing meditation. Now, mental development is also very important because it has to get you to that place to be able to do meditation proper. And of course, there's more to the path than just meditation proper. But if we don't have accurate terminology and know what we're talking about, conversation becomes useless. It's just regurgitating words that have no meaning. Yeah.
One very interesting thing about, for example, the jhanas, the very deep states of meditation. First of all, it's not bound to any race, person, species. It's everybody can do it, but not many people get there.
Well, theoretically, any human has the potential to do it. Yeah. But very few meditators have ever done meditation. They've been working on mental development, like we say, or maybe trying to enter meditation. But if you don't gear your lifestyle towards it, it's difficult. If you don't have the correct steps to lead you to that point, it's very difficult. In fact, it's just difficult.
You have quite extensive knowledge, but also experience in those states. They say they're very blissful.
Incomparable would be what I would say, yeah.
So it's just, can't even describe the bliss and the experience in itself.
You can't, that's the thing, because all our descriptions are based on our sense experience. And those states are states of senseless experience. The senses fall away, and with the falling away of the senses, your experience of the body disappears, and then there's a bliss that's beyond the body. And for most people, when they think of bliss, they're going to think of probably something sexual or a nice massage or something rooted in the five senses, rooted in the body. So it's difficult to describe and pointless to describe, essentially. All that matters is the causes to get there. Describing it to somebody doesn't really help them much at all.
I think it's also important to talk about some of the things that regarding these states that not a lot of people may know. One of them being that the mind gets so empowered that things like psychic abilities are pretty normal. Being able to see into past lives it's actually quite a normal, common phenomena that happens post these experiences. Is this, can you confirm that?
Sure, but once again, it doesn't matter. The things that happen after don't matter. So in the course, for example, the course takes you up to that point. And at that point, I say, there is no more for you to learn. There are no more exercises. Everything else from this point will unfold on its own. At that point, you just enter deeper naturally through more refined states of release and letting go. There's no more need to fabricate, to use method, to use technique. It's beyond that. So it's all in the realm of really no reason to talk about it, which is why all the great traditions don't talk about it. They give you the method to purify your character, to align you on the path so you can get there. Your character's a mess, it's very unlikely to get the meditative states.
This is why, as a practice, things like introspection and clearing the debris of the character in that sense is very important to enter deep meditation.
More than important, it's the fundamental practice. The fundamental practice of all the great traditions is you, your character, your personality. Is it an evil, defiled mess? Probably. So introspection, when you begin to look at yourself, you've got to learn to see yourself. That's step one, surely know yourself, right? And when you begin to look at yourself, it's ugly. And then gradually releasing the negative states, developing the positive states, to bring your character and personality more online with the way forward to achieving proper meditation and realizing the absolute, basically.
Let's talk about some of the things that you teach, because I filmed this course. I know the whole content of the course, and it's so vast. It's and they're all rooted in really the basics.
It's funny that you describe it as vast. It is vast, but my intention was to make it pithy and essential. It's what I consider just the essential points, which are not dogmatically connected to any of the traditions I've been trained in. It's the essential points that are basically the same in any tradition, that give you mental development and mental skill leading to meditation proper, so you can unlock the mysteries of any tradition, rather than going into dogma about one religion or another, or one practice or another.
I found that really nice. Like, you don't use any of the terms that are within the traditions of these ones specifically, yet I can see which practices are maybe from the Buddhism or which ones more hermetically inclined, yet it's very, in that sense, a plain slate of no religious, taint.
I mean, if something's true, it's true. That's it. If it's only true for one sect or something, then by definition it's not true. Right? It would be tainted with a certain view. So I tried, at least to the best of my ability at that time, to give what I consider a universal method. Yeah.
What are some of the things in this course?
There's lifestyle stuff about practices to do with eating, practices to do with washing. Character development is a big part. Exercises used to transform your character. Exercises to do with the breath, exercises to do with the chi, the prana, the subtle body, how to balance that, how to build certain qualities in it, how to change and transform that aspect of you. Elemental work on clear seeing what the mind is, the different aspects of mind, what is self, what is not self, what causes stress and suffering, what doesn't, freedom from the body, freedom from emotions, freedom from mind itself, training the consciousness, training the mind, the union of consciousness and mind. Yeah, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stuff.
Frequency of practice. I mean, these are one of those questions that I keep seeing all the time. How much should you practice? How many minutes of meditation? When should you do it? Is it best to do it in the morning? Is it best to do it when the moon is bright at midnight?
More.
Just as much as you can in the lifestyle that you have.
That's it. I mean, you can only do how much you can do. So someone says, as much as I can, it doesn't mean they're going to do some crazy amount, because that's not how much they can. You need to work it out. But I mean, I've had periods where I sat 16 hours a day. Yeah.
How'd you scheduleize that?
4-hour sits 4 times a day. And
6 a.m.
Yeah.
12 midday, 6 p.m. midnight.
Yeah. And basically
that leaves 2 hours in between those.
Well, meditation makes up for sleep. And then long periods where I've done 10 hours a day. And then long periods where I've only done an hour a day. I mean, your lifestyle changes. Are you working? Are you married? What are your other commitments? It's not like you have to go crazy to get results. Consistency gets results. Consistency, that's important. Probably the most important thing for meditation practice is to make it like brushing your teeth. You know, if you don't brush your teeth in the morning or before bed, like you feel hideous. There's no way I could sleep. It's impossible. I can't sleep without a glass of water next to my bed, even if I never drink it. So yeah. Actually, last night, I was like, there's no water. Tao, what am I going to do? And it was really late. Oh, we have to go get water. I don't need to drink it, but it needs to be there. So this is like a pattern that's built up in my neurology, in my personality. It's an attachment. So you become attached to the practice. So if you don't do your meditation in the morning or before bed or whenever your cycle is, you feel something's wrong. Then you naturally practice without having to use discipline to do it. If you can build these natural habits, then you progress naturally without forcing yourself.
A lot of people argue about getting too attached to a certain type of practice or a certain view, and you've always got to completely let go. But then there's for example, like the ladder analogy. You know this one? Where you have to, like, for example, if the goal is the wall and you climb...
Yeah, you can't throw away the ladder too early.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like saying you're attached to letting go, because most meditation, or at least entering absorption, is letting go. So if you're attached to letting go, don't worry. You'll be okay. There is always attachment. There's always desire. You're thirsty, you desire water. Right? What are you going to do? Detach from water? See how long you last. We have to decide what's skillful, what's unskillful, and move forward accordingly. You know, everyone that I know that talks like that doesn't have real meditation experience. People with real meditation experience don't talk like that.
Something else is are the postures of meditation. Some people go like, full lotus, half lotus.
Yeah.
Got to be in this posture, do these mudras, do this sign, and...
Yeah. Well, the mudras are misunderstood. They're physical. They actually do something to the channels, energy channels in your body. Seal some, open some to create certain effects. So you shouldn't just do them because you don't know what it's doing. Posture, I don't agree with sitting on a chair or a couch or lying down or any of that business. Something like half lotus or the Siddhasana, when you're also called Burmese, I think. Back straight, open, It's very important. In fact, the first step in the course is the posture. How to sit still. If you can't sit still without moving a millimeter for a minimum an hour, then we don't even go into the second stage. And the amount of people I've taught over the years, I'm giving a lecture or teaching meditation, and people come in and they're high and mighty and they're talking all this high philosophy. 20 minutes in, they're adjusting, they can't even sit there. It's like, wow. They think they're meditation experts, but they can't even sit still for 20 minutes. I mean, that's just not how it's done. When I talk about 1 hour, that's really conservative. That's like for the online course. Really, it's low.
I know for your inner door students, you make them sit there for 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours that's the first.
Legs tied up.
Yeah, you got to be able to
cup
sit there.
on the head.
Yeah, it's like this. If you want to train the mind, right? You don't want to get disturbed by the mind. You want to enter absolute profound stillness. Okay. My knee, my hip. If the pain in your body and the distraction of your body is interfering, it's impossible to enter the deep states. It's impossible. You have to get past the body. You want to worry about the internal energies, the mind, the consciousness? Well, let's get past the body first. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's just a delusion. But of course, the modern take on everything is, whatever sells best. 5 minutes a day and you'll be awakened or something like that. But the fact is, you have to at least train your body to. Step one is train the body to be able to make the shape to be able to do the meditation.
A lot of people meditate to music. I never understood that.
Well,
is there a place and time for that even?
No. No.
What about like Tibetan singing bowls?
I don't know about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Nothing against music. It's got nothing to do with meditation.
One thing I've noticed about you, and I've known you for many years now. I think I met you like in my early teens, and I don't know, 12 years ago or something like that, and been around you a lot. And there were moments where things got dark. I mean, life takes over.
I've had a full and rich life.
Yes. Now, this is not only mental, but even, physical. I've seen you with injuries that are, beyond comprehension with pain. At one point I remember you having a herniated disc. But it wasn't just herniated, it actually ruptured.
Yeah. Yeah, motorcycles are bad.
I saw the MRI scans. This is really, really interesting for me, but I think even for the scientists or the doctors that saw this whole process. Every single doctor at the time told you that you cannot do Tai Chi again after the operation. First of all, you need operation.
Yeah, I had to get cut, and I guess they wanted to put plates in or whatever and fuse the 3 vertebrae together, and then you're finished. You can't bend forward properly. You definitely can't do martial arts. It's all over. Yeah. When that happened, it was I went through a few, and then, okay, this is the last expert I'm going to see, and I went, and they're like, okay, this is it, and you're doomed, and yeah, it was dark. I remember riding back in the taxi with my wife. I was sitting there, and I shed a tear, and I don't shed tears very easily, except if I'm watching a movie. But, I shed a tear in being sorry for myself. But that's what I would call dark. And it's not like me to feel sorry for myself, but I did. And I got home, and I was like, wow, it's my passion in life. It's also my career. Like, I'm in shocking pain, and what am I going to do? I was a little upset. I talked to a friend, another teacher from America, and he served me very well. He said, really, Adam, everything that happens is from your internal state. You can fix it from your internal state. And I just snapped out of it. So I was only in that dark place for an hour or 2 or whatever. But it gave me an appreciation for what it's like for people when the mind takes over and darkness takes over. Yeah, it's a bad place to be. But then from that day on, I just worked on, fixing it. That was that.
And you did fix it. Like, I don't know, half a year later, I saw you again, and you were throwing people around, taking huge loads of pressure onto your spine again, and you completely healed it. I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Well, I'm sure it does happen to people that have the skill for that kind of thing.
What did you do? What did you actually do?
Well, this sounds kind of new agey. And you know me, I'm definitely not a new age type. But the key point is to develop an attitude of acceptance to what's happened. We tend to push away everything that's bitter or unpleasant or that we don't want in life, like having a broken back. We don't truly accept it, even we know it happened. So truly accepting what's happened, and for me that didn't mean just accepting that it was broken, it meant accepting directly to the vertebrae and disc that were damaged. An attitude of acceptance, because without acceptance you can't have kindness, love, any of these positive qualities. But this is one of the problems with New Age people, you know. They spout about universal love and peace, love, and mung beans and everything. As long as you agree with everything I say, and they never accept any difference in opinion. So there's no acceptance, so there's absolutely no kindness or love. It's just some kind of ego trip. So developing acceptance was the first point. Then a deep-seated faith that I can heal it. Faith is definitely not a popular word in the modern era, but faith can move mountains, so it can definitely heal my little nothing spine. It's nothing. So faith. Then the actual method, of course. But it's important that without acceptance and faith, the method wouldn't work.
What was the method?
The method is I had already had good Qigong skill, so I could articulate and manipulate my spine and use the Qi to move things. So I made space between the vertebrae where the disc should be, where the crushed, broken disc was, created space between the vertebrae. And it's a rule of nature that where there's empty space, something will fill it. So the Qi fills the space. And then I condense the Qi more and more there until it supports the vertebrae and acts basically as the disc should have acted. And then I just maintain that over a long period of time. And that space pulls in fluid. That's how discs work. When your spine stretches and opens, the fluid gets pulled in, and that's what keeps it healthy. When it gets compressed over a long period of time, it gets dried out, brittle, and breaks or whatever. So I made space, the fluid gets pulled in, and I maintain it with the Qi over time, and it regenerated, basically. That's it.
Yeah, and I actually saw the proof of that and that whole process, which is just, it blew my mind.
I've had many, I guess it's part of progress that you get knocked down all the time. I mean, I had my neck as well, so I had a fractured vertebrae and herniated disc in my neck.
You did a tour.
Yeah, after that happened, 3 days later, I had to fly from Thailand to America, and then I did a 9-city, 9-week tour, push hands tour, with a broken neck, and that was nasty. But that's when I made the most progress of my whole life. For spiritual work, I'm talking, not for Tai Chi. I mean, I was broken, but for the path of liberation, that was it.
Why is that?
If my consciousness identified with the body, I'd fall on the ground in agonizing pain, basically. There's no way I could even use my arm. So I had to stay separated. I had to stay in not self, so to speak, liberated from the body and the sensations of the body in order to function and do the workshops and push and maintain that for the 9 weeks, basically. And so that I could do the work and serve my students and give them what they'd paid for, basically. Which I wouldn't have chosen to do. I mean, I would have probably lied in bed and drunk hot chocolate and watched movies. and then had moments of trying to do meditation, but you know how it is. I would have been, oh, I'm injured, I'm having time off. But I couldn't do that. So it forced me to stay at my highest state, essentially, to gain freedom from the body and the sensations of the body. And it taught me how to stay there.
One of your main teachings is that the practice to try and constantly see no self.
Yes.
And your Buddhist teacher, Luang Por, that is also one of his main teachings.
Absolutely. Now, some traditions would call it seeing the self. So I don't care if you call it self, no self, divine self, whatever. The grunt that we use, form and meaning, which we call language, is not the point.
Now, your teacher, Luang Por, he did some incredible practices as well, maintaining certain silas and certain...
Totally. I mean, that's why he's my teacher.
Like, just to name a few, like he wore something like 60 kilograms worth of stuff around him every day.
For decades.
For decades.
23 hours a day. Now, you just put 60, 70 kilograms on one shoulder around your body and stand up and try 10 minutes, see how you go. And he's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny, like old school Thais are small. Yeah, for decades. I mean, this is it. Like, a lot of spiritual leaders, they talk the talk, they sound wonderful, but that just means they're charismatic. That's all it means. Anyone can read the stuff, say the stuff, and act charismatic and tell everyone how wonderful you are. I want to see some measurable skill. So enduring that, carrying that weight all day, every day, you know, with basically no sleep or anything, and still beaming and being radiant and happy and serving everybody. I mean, I believe him, because you can't pretend that. Even a really strong muscular guy could probably not pretend that for even 1 or 2 days, let alone 30 years or whatever.
Another thing that he did was he didn't lie down for 9 years?
9 years, yeah.
How did he sleep?
He had like nano naps while he was standing up and stuff like that.
Nano naps.
Yeah. You know, I'll be hanging out with him and basically functioning as his attendant. And he's giving blessings is what he does. And once in a while, I'll be like, okay, we'll do the chant. And he does the chant, and I'm sitting there and he's chanting, Namo Tassa, and he starts chanting. And then a minute into the chant, he falls asleep every time. But he keeps chanting. But you can tell he fell asleep because the whole tone of the chant and everything totally changes. He's asleep. And then before the chant ends, he wakes up again and finishes. It's like he sneaks in his sleep time while he's chanting. Yeah. I mean, the human mind's amazing.
How did you meet him?
He found me, and I don't really want to go into it, basically. Yeah, It's private.
Now, you were in Thailand at the time, and for many years before that as well. You had the urge when you were in Australia to come to Thailand. Why was that?
Well, my interest was in Buddhism and Taoism and the bodhisattvas and the immortals, and because I was fascinated and my mind was fantastical, and you know, I wanted to live in caves and live in forests and renounce the world and achieve immortality, and you know, I was a child basically. Yeah, but I did. I came and I trained like that, just like out of the books.
What did you do? What were some of the things that you did?
I've done many things. I've lived in caves for months, pitch black caves, bat caves. Meditated with bats circling around my head. I mean,
you were in the forest for a while as well?
Yeah, I lived in the forest, actually just near here, on the mountain up there, and for months, 3 months, I lived in that forest just with a mosquito net, washed in the waterfall, just practicing certain meditations, working on the elements at that stage. You know, in and out of monasteries and caves and forests, homeless and wandering, and that kind of practice for 10 years, I guess. In and out, you know. I'd spend 3 months in a strict temple, and then I'd come out and go live in Bangkok, right in this middle of it, with all of Bangkok's temptation. And I used to practice in this way and go in and out, because I truly believe that the true hermit lives in the city, and that if you have to, you don't want to run away physically from temptation, and it's sort of dualistic. It's too dualistic. I think that you need freedom at all times.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't value the monastery, the cave. I mean, I've done lots of that. I'm pro that. Yeah, yin and yang.
Again, there's a time and place for a certain type of practice, for a certain type of goal.
Yeah. And I always like working both ends, both extremes. That's just the way I did it. I'm not saying that's the right way for somebody else, but for me, that was the way.
In the past few months, we've been training together, and we've had a schedule where basically we wake up in the morning and you do your seated practice up until lunchtime. I do my standing practice, which is just,
it's blissful.
It's blissful. I mean, first of all, I have to thank you for that. I mean, you pushed my boundaries way beyond that I even expected was possible for me. If you told me just to go away for, an hour, even 2 hours by myself to just go stand.
Now you do 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, and I guess that's the power of being able to practice with a master, a teacher, or somebody that's also on the path.
Yeah, well, I mean, somebody, if their skill's good enough, or at least compared to you at that time, they should be able to carry you quite a lot, lift you up, and like you jump into their stream and get carried by it. And that's important. And then it's important to step out of the stream too. They both matter.
I see most of your days are now geared more towards the seated practice. Like in the afternoons, you might do a little bit of Tai Chi form.
Yeah.
Meditation is for the mind. Tai Chi seems like it's more for the body, for the Chi, for the prana, but the goal is the same.
In my mind, the way I understand it, yes. I mean, Tai Chi was created by Chang Song Feng, who was an immortal, the highest achieved being in the history of China, like equivalent to a Buddha. Tai Chi was his masterpiece.
When did he live?
Ages ago. I'm definitely no scholar, I don't know. Back then. So this immortal Buddha, great master, his masterpiece is just punching and kicking. I don't think so. Tai Chi Chuan is not that. It's for cultivating essence and life. It's part of the path towards union with the Absolute, the Tao, Nibbana, God. So, okay, the way I practice, I go from both ends. From the body, from the mind. From the body, we open the body, cultivate the Qi. The Qi accumulates, pushes through it, opens the channels. The Qi is something that's between mind and body. So the opening of the channels, the correcting of the subtle body and the Qi corrects your mind. So going from body, Qi to mind corrects the mind. The other way, you do meditation, you cultivate character, still the mind. When the mind becomes correct, the Qi becomes empowered, the channels become corrected, and the body transforms. So both ways, we're looking for the same achievement. It's just coming from a different angle. Now, for example, when you're practicing stillness, you enter absorption. Okay. When you enter absorption, the experience is this overpowering union with light, which is the energy, the Qi of the mind. The breath stops, it's still, you're not breathing.
Your heart stops as well.
Everything
even
stops.
Mind activity.
That's right.
They have people on EEG scans that the mind even stops.
You're suspended. And you're energized and alive because of that radiant energy of the mind, which is Yang Qi, we'd call it. So the meditation fills you with Qi. Cultivating the body and the Qi fills you with Qi and gets you to meditation. They're just different aspects of the same holistic whole. At least the way I treat it. I mean, you could treat Tai Chi Chuan just for fighting if you wanted to, but I consider that a waste of life. And Tai Chi is for balance and harmony. Balance of yin and yang, harmony, mind, chi, and body. To harmonize mind, chi, and body. Fighting is how you destroy the harmony of your mind, chi, and body. So it's running directly away from the ultimate goal.
A lot of people don't know this about you, but you're a martial arts master, but you are not a martial artist. Or better said, you're against martial arts fighting.
I have no interest in it, would be more accurate, yeah. And I think it's unskillful, yeah. I mean, anyone that's actually done violence has a very sort of realistic view about it, unless they're psychotic. So there's basically two kinds of people that are fascinated with fighting. People that have never done real violence, and psychotics. So if you've actually done real violence, you know that it comes with a heavy weight. And to make your mind geared towards, your neurology geared towards fascination with fighting and stuff like that all the time, it's not healthy. There are better things to practice for. Health, enlightenment, right? Seems more worthwhile to me. Yeah. You can't, I personally don't like sitting on the mat all day, every day. I want to move around. I want to develop the chi. I want to have fun and interact with people, and that's what Tai Chi is. Plus, it's a way to trick Mara.
The funny thing about chi is a lot of people don't even, they think it's not real. They can't comprehend it. They don't understand it. You can't measure chi and all these things.
Who can't? They can't. Is that what they mean?
That's yeah. Scientists can't measure chi. But I see you many hours working with chi, and I could physically see it within your body. And I mean, even can we talk about when you did a scan one time where you pushed chi through your body and your muscle fibers actually aligned?
That's the fascia lines in the waist. Yeah, that happens. Stuff like that. Stuff happens. But the thing is, they can still argue that it's just material, which doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People, their view is based on their experience. If they have no experience, they're right to be doubtful. There's nothing wrong with that. When you close off your experience, of course, it's a problem for them. But it doesn't matter.
Because if you're spending so many hours a day doing that, I think you'd be wasting your time if it wasn't real.
That would be unfortunate. Let's hope that I'm not wrong on that one.
I just quickly want to talk about, again, the very deep meditative states, the jhanas that you said when the body goes extreme yin, there's the yang chi that surrounds it, and a lot of incredible things happen. For example, one of Ajahn Brahm's students, he said to his wife, I'm just going to go meditate, and usually he does about half an hour, 45 minutes. But this time, after an hour and a half or something like that, his wife went into the room just to check up on him, and he was there in his meditation posture, but he wasn't breathing. And she checked his pulse, and there was no pulse.
When you enter absorption, the body stops.
Yeah.
But it's still alive because it's nourished by the chi. You're nourished by the fluid of the mind. That's enough nourishment because everything's so still, it doesn't take that much nourishment. Now that energy transforms your body. One of the things that isn't usually talked about, but it is understood in all of the real traditions, is that spiritual transformation transforms your body. They're not separate. So you see the incorruptible saints in the Christian traditions. The bodies never decay. You see the same thing in the Buddhist tradition. At the moment in Thailand, there's more than 200 bodies you could go visit that are incorruptibles. They don't decay, they don't burn. They wouldn't burn when they tried to cremate them, and then they just leave them in the tropics, and they still don't decay. So this happens from mastering those absorptions, and as far as I understand it, from dying while you're in the absorption as well, so that the yang qi kind of crystallizes your body.
Meaning, so upon death, you enter into the state of jhana.
Before death, and then
Before
they die
death.
while they're in it. That's my understanding.
Okay, right.
So the bones also become crystallized. That's a thing.
Hmm.
They talk about the diamond arahant in Buddhism and Taoism. They have this idea where the bones change. You know, the relics, like the relics of the arahants and stuff like that. I mean, as you know, I have quite a collection of that kind of thing. And yeah, that's that. The bones actually change before cremation. Then when they get cremated, you end up with the relics. Yeah.
Well, when I look at relics and see relics, they're beautiful. I mean, some of them are incredible, and they're from the body. They're created by the body. It's not something that's separate or. But having said that, I heard they can also manifest. Like there's accounts of masters meditating, and upon reaching that purity of mind, like relics fall from the sky and stuff like that and manifest out of thin air. I do know, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you had relics one time and they duplicated.
Yeah, the first relic I ever had, which was a single bone fragment.
You know, from a master, from a specific master?
From one of the Thai masters. I can't even remember who it was. I have too many. But, okay, they say faith, purity, emptiness, these are the causes that make them manifest and stuff like that. Anyway, I'd pay homage to it every day as part of my practice before entering meditation and stuff like that. But yeah, duplicated. One turned into two. I don't know how that works, but it did. It does. My understanding is because, you know, these masters that produce the relics, their connection to emptiness and the chi is so strong that, that is the creative force. The absolute God, emptiness everywhere. What's everywhere? Emptiness, right? And what life that grows out of emptiness that's everywhere? The chi, the prana, right? This is the way I see it. So that is the actual creative force itself.
I remember reading Ajahn Lee's biography. One of those cool and fun reads that motivate you on the path of meditation. But one of the things that he was talking about, one of the chapters, was that he didn't know if relics were real, and he wanted to test this whole relic fascination. And he had I don't remember completely, I'm paraphrasing, but he had a container in the room, and he shut the room off, made sure he locked it from all sides, all possible sides, and he meditated throughout the night. And sure enough, in the morning, well, he first put basically the prayer, the intent, if relics are real, may they manifest. And he went into meditation. And upon the next morning, relics were in the container. And then that's how he knew they were real.
Hopefully no one secretly unlocked the door and came in and put them in. I mean,
he said he completely locked the door.
Who knows? I mean, he's a very skilled, great meditator. I mean, one thing I know is that I don't know anything. The mysteries are vast. You just don't know. But from what I've seen, which is a little, but to most people would be a lot, all of the stories and the myths and the miracles, yeah, that stuff can happen for sure. Absolutely.
Going back to the guy that was meditating, when the ambulance came, they put him on a stretcher, took him out, and because he was in cardiac arrest...
No, he wouldn't have been in cardiac arrest. There would have been nothing.
There would have been nothing, which they, of course, said is a cardiac arrest.
Dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're dead.
And basically, they even used a defibrillator on him several times. Luckily, in the ward, there was a doctor that was of Indian descent, and he was like, I could possibly be in a deep meditation. Several hours later, he woke up, and he was in the hospital, and he was like, what happened? Where are we? Why am I here? And so those are some of the incredible things that can happen. And this actually happened not too long ago in Australia. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful state. So they're not easy to achieve, but strange things can happen.
they say you're protected in these states.
That's what they say. I haven't tested that. I don't really want to test that.
Somebody that's becoming quite viral these days is a guy named Wim Hof with
Yeah, the Iceman.
the
He's doing
Iceman.
all the crazy feats.
And they are crazy feats. I mean,
Yeah, he's a very, very capable guy.
they are, let's say, powers that he possesses. He's teaching everybody these meditation practices where you basically, there's a lot of deep breathing,
Hyperventilating.
a lot of yeah, and the thing about it is that you do see quick results, very fast results. They're seeing, elevated white blood cells, like they inject people with certain viruses and the flu, and they're able to counter that, which is cool. I mean, it's something that is helping science move forward with the view of the body and what you can do with and achieve with the mind.
It definitely gets results, that's for sure.
But
Well, what he's doing is it's pranayama.
what is pranayama?
It's the yogic version of Qigong, Indian Qigong. Prana.
Prana work and
Prana is Qi, Yama is something like restraint, restraining the Qi. So it's like restraining the breath, making it long and stuff like that. Anyway, what he's doing is the pranayama that all of the great masters say not to do. And it's not that simple, but this is my take on it, okay? One, he's obviously awesome, okay? And it's giving people benefit. But I believe, and so do all the traditionalists, that anything like it's giving you quick benefit, right? Very fast.
Instant.
Nothing comes out of thin air except for relics. Okay. So it's drawing on something. So we would say it's drawing on the Jing. Okay, it's drawing on your,
What's Jing?
well, let's say your prenatal life potential. And it's drawing on that, and that's why you get the white blood cell increase and all that kind of thing. I bet they talk about things like the adrenals working and
Bone marrow.
yeah, I mean, that's your kidney chi. It's the same thing. It's drawing on this, something that you can't replace. So yeah, you get short-term gain. But in the long term, you will pay.
How so?
Well, it's just like anything where you get short-term gain. You burn it up now, you don't have it later. So I'd say premature aging, stuff like that. Yeah. Time will tell. But definitely from the traditional view, from my understanding of how these things work, you're getting something now that you pay for later. Yeah. Where the traditional schools, they want to, it's more gradual accumulation. So you ramp up with old age rather than, yeah, you're awesome for a while and then, you don't have anything later.
You build on the basics and the basis of your body to be able to continue and hold these things and be able to build on these things.
We want to increase them, not draw out of one place to use in another place. Yeah.
They say masters, their peak is at 50, 60.
For Tai Chi, yeah.
Ah, okay.
For Tai Chi. Yeah. Which is still pretty physical, right? So then if you're getting more internal, it could be even later. But if you're burning everything up, yeah. Anyway, it's just my opinion. We'll see.
We're not hating on Wim Hof. That's not
what is there to hate on? He's great.
But you have haters as well.
Of course, many. All people I've never met, mysteriously.
That's an interesting phenomenon. Like everybody that has met you, that has worked with you, that has done workshops with you, we guess we can't help but just to respect your skills, the art that you're doing, how passionate you are, how much time you really do practice and involve yourself with the arts and teaching it, truly teaching it. But you do have people that hate on you, and think you're fake. And
I have people that are obsessed, actually. They don't just hate on me. It seems like that's all they do. I don't know how they find the hours in the day.
yeah,
But, it's a strange world out there, and it's sad, but that's... the human mind and our personality is not a stable entity. It's self-created. So what we think, what we do, especially if we have emotional content, creates an energy. The energy, the chi of the emotion, the idea that's imbued into that energy, which some schools would call an elemental. And you create these, and if you do repetitively think and feel the same thing, it gets stronger and stronger, and eventually you become a slave to that. These things are your personality, but they're not really your true core. So if you start seeing something really negative and feeding it, and then it wants more of your juice from your emotional output, right? So it draws, and you just get like an addiction cycle, a codependent cycle with these elementals. Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, that's how karma works, actually. It's that kind of thing. There's no big evil daddy in the sky that's going to punish you for doing the wrong thing. You are your own punisher. You bring your own karma.
a lot of people would think that karma is they do a certain action, and then 10 years later, something happens to them, and it's because of that action, because of somebody in the sky
Right.
telling, making that cause happen. Yet they are the cause. Or
Yeah, they are the cause, absolutely.
what is a better way of explaining karma?
It's difficult to explain, and the Buddha describes the intricacies of karma as an incomprehensible.
Mhm.
So it's hard to describe. But one way to understand, okay. For example, if you know any junkies, right? I've known quite a few because I've helped to heal and bring junkies out of that life and give them a better life a few times. One of the biggest problems is you can lay it all out for them, make it all like a gold and silver platter, and they'll still make the worst possible choice. The only choice possible, say there's 9 nice choices and 1 bad choice, they'll make the 1 bad choice. And that choice will lead to destruction. They'll be broke again. They'll be jobless. It's all bad.
Why is that?
Because more often than not, they have no self-value. So deep somewhere inside the subconscious or even conscious mind, they think they don't value something. So they draw themselves away. And this is like deep-seated guilt and stuff like that. So that's part of how karma works. You know what you've done. Your conscious knows what you've done, right? And there are deeper aspects of the mind that we don't understand. You create energy return cycles that draw you towards positive things if you're positive, negative things if you're negative, and so on. Now that continuum goes on beyond the death of the physical body. And yeah, we call it karma. It's not that there's some outer power controlling you. You did something wrong way back then, now you're going to pay for it. I mean, if that was the case, you could never escape it. Because it's self-created, that means it's not ultimately true. It means you can become liberated from it. Luckily, if you couldn't, there would be no path at all. Because we all do wrong things, right? Everyone does.
You mentioned death of the physical body. Do you believe is there a reincarnation?
Yes. More than believe, there definitely is.
How are you so sure? A lot of people would say, well, whoever came back from the dead and said, I'm reincarnated.
Lots of people. I'm sure there's all kinds of studies on that kind of thing. It doesn't matter. Anyone, when they get their experience, that will create their views.
You've had your experience?
I've had plenty of experience to make me sure. And other people have too, and it doesn't matter if people disagree. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, really.
It's just fun to look at these things as well, but even on YouTube, there's many accounts of kids that have memories, very strong memories, undeniable memories. By their parents look at them and they go, well, you're having very strong memories of your past life. But then they go into it as well, and they start seeing that there were actual factual accounts that prove that this person was actually that person. There's many of these stories on YouTube, and a few which I find just incredible. And you can always go find these and have fun and look at those.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff out there, but there's no substitute for direct personal experience.
What do you mean by that? As in,
I mean, when you know, and it doesn't matter for people that don't. I'm not interested in telling people about any philosophy or dogma. Like, it doesn't matter. You just train, you get experience, then you know. I believe there's only that which is known and that which is unknown. Belief is for kiddies.
faith, though. There is faith in the practice, and
Faith gained by experience.
but before you have those experiences, there's a certain level of faith that you need to have that your teacher is right, that you're...
Well, hopefully if you actually observed your teacher to make those decisions, and it's not blind faith.
What's some of the criteria that you would give to people in finding the right teacher?
Somebody that produces results in their students, that would be the first and foremost. Somebody with integrity. For meditation, somebody that seems free from suffering to a certain extent. So when things are bad, they're still good. When things are dark, they're still happy. Sickness and physical injury doesn't affect them like that. Some kind of liberation from the mundane physicality of life, which you can only know from observing over a period of time. And, well, that's what you have to do.
This is definitely true with you, but I wouldn't have been able to see that unless there was a long period of time where I lived with you, lived around you, and that was a common denominator of your character, that even when stuff went wrong, you'd still laugh it off. There was still this aspect of, that's life. And then...
Well, the whole point of the practice is to have a more reliable happiness and something better than the physical world. So if you don't, then it's not working. Sometimes you don't have the time to spend with a teacher, so you have to investigate with their students and, see what they say. And it's not easy, unfortunately. It's pretty hard to find a good teacher. Just as hard to find a good student. That's just the way it goes.
Your diet. That's one thing that a lot of people are asking. What do you eat?
If I eat food.
You eat food? Let's hope so.
I eat food that's discernible food.
Meaning you know what it is.
I can see what it is. You can see, okay, that's liver, that's flesh, that's potatoes, that's fruit. You can see. If you can't tell what it is, I think it's no good. Nothing out of a packet or, strange modern things. Just food. The food of our ancestors is the best.
What's your opinion on certain diets, fasting?
Fasting has its place. Generally, I think the purpose of food is to gain energy. So the food should be high energy. Now, a lot of modern ideas is like, low calories and stuff like that. Well, that's low energy. So that's the definition of bad food. Good food should be nutrient rich and empower you. You get chi from your food, from the air, and from the sun. So you don't want to throw away those things. One thing I see is people coming to Tai Chi and Qigong meditation. They know they want to develop the Qi and then they go and eat lettuce. And so that's not food.
But then just lettuce.
Well, lettuce and,
for example,
no
veganism.
Nutrition. No nutrition. No, you need to eat something with potency.
What is your take on, for example, just eating things like just veganism, vegetarianism, when you're practicing Tai Chi? Or Chi work, sorry.
I think you need to eat food that gives you energy.
What gives you energy?
Animal fat. Now, like in the Hindu tradition, there'll be vegetarians that do well. They do amazing, actually, some of the greatest masters. But they basically worship dairy. So, ghee, cheese. So they still get energy. I think just eating salad, and it's not really going to cut it. Your blood will become deficient. Qi will be deficient. Maybe it's possible. At a really high level, you probably don't need that. But there aren't many people like that. Most of us need input. We need more energy input. So, yeah.
When is the right time for fasting? What's it good for, and
Well,
why? And this is regards to practice.
the main thing is that when it makes your body weak, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the body's weak, the desires go down. So, like the sexual desire, somewhere in there is the desire for it to reproduce. Now, if you're not even in safety mode now, the desire to reproduce is secondary. You want to eat, sleep, then have sex. If you're starved, weak, there's no sexual desire. So fasting and bringing down nutrition is one way to suppress the sexual desire. So they use that in a lot of traditions. It has its place, but there are better ways. Now the problem with these things is, say, you become a monk or something, which is great, I'm pro, but so you're celibate, but you don't know how to be celibate. You don't know how to transform those energies. So you just become a bit twisted about it all, you know? That sexual energy like comes out somewhere else. Doesn't really work. Or you're just totally wild and have too much sex and you deplete all your energy, that life-generating power. So these things need technique, they need balance. There's no one answer. It's the same with diet, there's no one answer. The problem is when people become very dogmatic. And there's a lot of people that are dogmatically vegan, dogmatically celibate, or anything like that. And it just damages the mind and body in the long run.
Apart from the practice in various traditions or surrounding the religions in various cultures, there's things that are like amulets and trinkets and many different things that aid in the practice or in one's karma. And I see you wearing amulets as well sometimes. What's their function?
Okay, so of course, like everything, there's counterfeit and there's real. Amulet is just an object that somebody's with skill has projected enough mind fluid, chi, into, so that it holds a charge that affects the mind and energy of somebody within the space of the object. For example, will protect them or help purify the mind or increase their concentration or something like that. So I'm pretty sure they exist in all of the great traditions. They're not essentially part of the tradition. They're like a side branch. Right? Religion is not so simple. The great religions are have multiple purposes. One is they govern the people. Religion lays down a moral code for the people, for the masses, for the layman. And this is absolutely vital. And in our modern time, I see it as more vital than ever. And some people say, oh no, that's not true. We're born with knowing right and wrong and this. Well, I suggest people travel more. When you travel more, you see, and you learn that people's moral code is built on the religion of their nation, even if that person is not religious. Our laws are based on the 10 Commandments. And our moral code is based on these teachings. So part of the purpose of religion is to bring peace and harmony, hopefully, to the masses. That's like the outer shell. As well as that is the religion carries the truth, something pointing to the absolute. And most importantly, it carries the methods for people to achieve realization and union with the absolute. That's what religion is for the initiate. For the layman, it's to give them faith, something higher than themselves to live for, and to teach them how to treat their neighbor, how to treat their fellow man. For the initiate, it points to the ultimate truth. It carries the essential point, the actual method. And all the great religions do that. And that's the essential point. Everything else is the outer garb. Now, things like amulets and stuff like that, they're kind of halfway in between. They're definitely not the ultimate point. And they're a bit more than just a moral code. They're useful energetically, they function. They give the layman something to attach to, right? They give the initiate something to use, kind of a middle ground. Religion is very complicated.
Charging amulets, for example. I know there's a study out by one of the Japanese universities. This went quite viral as well. With they checked out water. They tested water. I think they even froze it and looked at the frostings and the water molecules before and after adding an intent into a certain liquids, and the water molecules would change with certain intent.
Yeah. So it'd be jagged with negative intent and beautiful with positive intent.
Stuff like that.
I have no idea about how authentic those tests were or were not. But yeah, I mean, that's what holy water is, right? So if somebody's untrained intent can make that effect, how much more the intent of somebody that's been developing their intention and their chi and their mind for like years and years. I mean, that will create a real change. So yeah, it's definitely a tangible reality for sure.
Would you say that because of that point that amulets can change karma?
No. But they can create another cause. So if you have a cake and you put in 3 eggs, okay, then you add salt, that changes the cake, but it doesn't change the 3 eggs. The 3 eggs are still there. It's just another cause in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so simple. Like, our life is not just karma. Karma's part of it. Physical cause and effects part of it. Outer people's influences are part of it. Genetics are part of it. Who knows? Endless causes. It's just another cause.
In Thai traditions, there are many amulets. There's many Thai Buddhist, in quote, amulets. How does one know which one is real and which one's counterfeit?
One doesn't unless one has the skill to read them or trusts somebody else that does. There's no other way. In the beginning, you have to have trust, and then later you get skill, much like every other learning process.
So you personally, I see you practicing, and you do less of the Tai Chi, you might do form, but you're more in the seated practice. What is kind of the overarching goal right now in the near future for you in your practice?
My goal is always the same. It's just progress on the path towards the ultimate goal as far as I can.
What is the path and what is the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal is realization and union with the absolute.
What does that mean?
Well,
a lot of people would hear that and go, that didn't answer anything. What does that mean?
Well, people use words like God, Tao, Nibbana, whatever. Now, at the moment, for me, I want to delve deeper into understanding mind and chi to a higher level. So that's what I'm doing. At the moment, that means a lot of seated practice, and I'd say it will for quite a while. Now, I still do the Tai Chi training, and I see them as one. I don't see a real dichotomy there. Sometimes you move, sometimes you sit still. Now, I'm not teaching so much this year and next year, probably for a while, because for the last 10 years, I've been devoted to spreading the art and training my guys and teaching, which is great. I love it. And I've still been practicing, but it's not the same. I'm on a plane every other week. I'm in a different bed every week. I mean, I haven't had a home for 5 years. I've been on the road for 5 years, living out of a suitcase, teaching for 5 years. So it's time for me to be a little selfish, basically.
Retreat.
Yeah. Turn inward, do my own cultivation, teach a couple times a year. Actually, it's the best thing I can do for my students. Because my skill goes up, their skill goes up. So it's just phases of life. Phases. It's funny, when I was young and I was practicing, I had this idea. I'm like, okay, I'm going to train, I'm going to practice like crazy. When I'm 40, I'm entering retreat. And I totally forgot about it for like 10 or 15 years. And then this year I've entered retreat. And it dawned on me, I'm like, hold on, I'm 40. It's funny, the seeds we plant inside the mind, they bear fruit later. So it's essential that we become aware of the seeds that we're planting. This is what mindfulness is for. This is what introspection is for. So you can become aware of your own mind. Because the mind can give you everything, and it can destroy everything. So we must proceed with caution.
What are some tips and tricks for daily, maybe auxiliary practices that one can do to keep the mind aligned with the path and keep the practice strong?
Choose the people you spend time with. That's the most important. You spend time with people that are caught up in the world and negative and talking about politics all the time and dark, that's what you will become. If you spend time with people that are practicing, cultivating higher moral standards, benefiting others, selfless activity, that is what you will become. You are who you hang around with. That's the big tip.
It's difficult, isn't it, to build that lifestyle to gear, unless you go completely into a monastery, and to be able to live within the world with others in that sense and keep financials going and to keep a life going with practice as well.
Go into a monastery, you'll find there's still groups of people that are unsavory. There's still the world just shrinks. It doesn't go away. So you have a political view now about nations. Go into a monastery, you have them about the abbot and the vice abbot. It goes with you. There's no escape. You must transform internally. Is it difficult? Yes. What else? Everything that's worth doing is difficult. Difficult's not bad. You just have to be sincere. The path lies in sincerity alone. This is the key point. Be sincere. Have integrity. Don't lie to yourself.
That's the big one, isn't it? Having honesty towards yourself.
That's the real deal. That's where people fail. You see it all the time, but it's something you can develop gradually. First thing is to realize you don't have integrity, right? However, to whatever degree that is, unless you're perfect, there is some degree of lack of integrity, and then to endeavor to correct it. And there are many methods and practices which I'm not going to go into to do that. But yeah, sincerity, integrity. The path is straight and narrow, but men love byways.
Now, I can recommend looking into and getting the course. We'll probably have a link underneath this video because you really do cover everything that's truly important to do with the practice, to do with auxiliary practices, to do with introspection, to do with everything that is needed to project oneself quite far into this.
I certainly hope so. That was my wish with doing it. Of course, there's more. There's always inner secret methods. It's the same with the Tai Chi. In the course, I teach what I think is fundamental and will take people very far. Is there more? Yes, there's much more. There's always more. But it's a lot better than what's out there. And it will get you far enough to be able to stand on your own 2 feet.
There's a lot of people, they keep wanting to know the secrets and understand what the secrets are, and I even see comments of people being outraged when they're not being taught the secrets. Yeah.
Usually when they're getting taught them. I mean, I tell people straight up what to do half the time, and then they come up and go, so what's the secret? And it's like, oh. Secret is it's not going to work for you. Integrity, that's the secret. And then you need real method. Nothing works without real method. But, you know, the person, you've got to learn how to be honest and brutal with yourself.
And also having that balance of being very kind with yourself.
Yeah, but most people are only that. It's like, you know, people say, don't overtrain, right? That's a common one. I don't know anyone who overtrains. I've never met anyone who overtrains. But every single person I've ever met undertrains. And they spout about don't overtrain. And so, yeah, okay. Don't get attached to high-level meditation. Okay. I've never met anyone that has that problem. Most people can't do high-level meditation.
Yet they talk about it and they warn about it.
It's the same thing. Of course, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to accept yourself. You have to have kindness. But most people accept all their flaws openly and do nothing to eradicate them or to discipline themselves. So they're not the people that need to hear about being kind to themselves. They take it the wrong way. They need discipline. I read something the other day. It was something like, amateurs rely on motivation or inspiration. The rest of us just get to work. And that's really true. You can't get caught up in the passing feelings and this and that. Got to follow a method, develop sincerity, and walk forward fearlessly.
When I watch your day and your schedule, which is, it's loose, but it's not loose as well. It's, you get up in the morning, and well, this is from the few months that I've seen you. This, of course, this changes all the time, doesn't it? In the sense that depending where you're at, how you're teaching, I mean, when you're teaching or when you're truly in retreat. But recently, over the last few months, I noticed you get up at, you know, about 7 in the morning or something like that, and by 8 o'clock you're on the mat, 8:30, and then up until lunchtime you're meditating.
Yeah, sit till 1 normally. Then we eat, hang out, have a laugh. Maybe do a bit of form or something, digest, then do it again. Sit all afternoon, then dinner, have another laugh, hang out, chill, go to sleep, do it again.
That's also one thing I want to talk about, is that I don't think I've ever had a day where I haven't had some sort of a crack up or a laugh with you about just anything. You're actually hilarious. A lot of people don't know about this with you, but you're actually a really funny guy.
I don't know about that, but at least I'm happy, I'll say that. You don't have fun, then why are you doing it? People often say, why do you do all this practice? Why do you do it? Fun. That's a good enough reason. It's a really good reason.
Well, with that, we've covered a lot. And of course, people will have questions, and I urge people to comment and ask questions and write to HME about anything. And maybe we'll look through those questions as well for the future podcast. We don't know when the next one's going to be, but there'll probably be one.
Next time you convince me again.
There's a lot of convincing that happened. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I think a lot of the viewers would like to thank you as well for doing this. And until next time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Krabum.
Krabum.